Okay, hello, gentlemen and ladies. It's about 2 minutes before 7, so hopefully the me being early won't catch you off guard. I'm not sure if there's anybody that's here, but let me see if I don't see anybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started today. I've got several things I want to cover with you. Not a whole lot on not a whole lot on the actual real estate. I do have, actually, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see that while while I'm talking. Share screen one, screen two. There we go. So you should have that on your screen now rather than just taking a look at me. But I'm not sure if you'll be able to read all of that. Real estate one, I'm going to start on the right-hand side. It says a bundle of rights, not what people think. That's what, real estate's not what people think. You're going to have to know what all the bundle of rights are in there. Um, I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to kind of leave that up there in case you can see if you got any questions about my handwriting, let me know. But real estate rights, fixtures, life estate, joint tenancy with right of survivorship, and a joint tenancy in common. Is it divisible? When is it effective? When is it ineffective? Profit versus license versus easement, revocable. I mean, basically, just about all the really key parts of the material that that you see there. Um, and I'm not sure that there's any surprises with it. The material's difficult, but it's not something that I think is terribly tricky. My tests are going to be difficult like they always are. But if you've studied it fairly well, then hopefully you will do okay. Speaking of studying, I want to go ahead and I'm going to transition because this is supposed to be sort of an open office hour anyway. Um, and I've had students ask me, how do I study? How do I study for the class? And I will tell you this: everything you learned in high school, I'm not going to say is not relevant anymore. It is still relevant, but you have to take a step up. I mean, what you did in high school is just not enough. And I realize I may be talking to some folks who've been out in the real world and working, have a family, and all that. Some of my very best students are those individuals. I'm always happy to have them, but and I probably shouldn't talk like this for everybody, but the truth is that the study techniques taught in high school are just not the same as you're going to need here. Um, I ran across some material and I've just taken some notes on it. So what I'm holding up here isn't going to do you any good because it's just my notes. But rereading the same notes over and over is bad. That doesn't really teach you anything. Writing concise summary sheets about your notes is good. Testing yourself with practice questions is good. Combining active recall with spaced repetition, in other words, space it out, is excellent. One of the techniques that I have used, in fact, I've got it right here. You may see it's a little timer on my thing. This was specially made. It's slanted so it can fit on a desk, or I keep it right here on my laptop. Um, and I use a keyboard, so I don't. It's not in my way, but it's called the Pomodoro technique. And basically, I try. I don't always do it because sometimes I just get too busy, and I can't do that. But I try to take a break every 25 minutes. I think you should too. 25 minutes, take a 5 minute break, and then back at it. It kind of lets the brain reset, and uh, you actually absorb better when you have that. And then every 4 25-minute breaks, Pomodoro technique teaches you can take a longer break at that point. And of course, you still have your, normal lunch breaks or whatever with that. But it's a really good way to train yourself even after you've been around for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years practicing law. It's still a good idea to do stuff like that. Teaching the concept out loud is excellent. One of the things that we do in law school, or we did in law school, is we had study groups. And the study groups would involve students who would teach each other. You would ask questions of each other, and one of you would teach to the other person. That's an excellent way. Now, and I realize that a lot of you, and this is an online class, so we don't have the ability necessarily to meet other students and to have an on-campus camaraderie. Uh, so you may not have that, but you can still teach it out loud. You don't have to teach to another person. You can teach it to yourself, but teach it out loud. Maybe record yourself doing it. Set up your phone and record yourself, and force yourself to teach that. Um, I've already touched on this, but pulling an all-nighter is not a good way to study. It's just not. That's cramming, and you might learn some things that might save you from failing, but you're not going to do the best you can with that. Breaking it into study groups or focus blocks is a good idea. The Pomodoro technique is excellent. Making flashcards, bad. Passively watching lectures, bad. I've talked about this. You have to be an active listener, an active note taker. And I'm going to talk a minute about the SQ3R method of studying as well. Taking Cornell style notes is good. Not necessarily the best, but it's a good technique to take the notes with there. I've got a separate video on the Cornell method of note taking, and I want you, for those of you that are interested, please take a look at that. And there's nothing special about it. It's just that I actually used it to show you how I would learn with a couple of examples of law topics as they were going on, as a lecture was going on. I'd show you how I would take the notes and how you'd ask the questions and summarize and use the sides and the bottoms of your note paper with that. Um, the SQ3R method. I hesitated before I wanted to introduce this to you because some parts of it don't aren't as effective for this class as others, but I think it's still a good idea. And if nothing else, it'll help you in other areas, not only this class, but actually other classes and in the workplace. The SQ3R method is called, and you can look it up. Nothing that I'm going to have here is a secret. It's widely known. It's called survey, question, read, recite, and review. Survey means to, rather than trying to read word for word and absorb all the material that you have in front of you, the PowerPoint slides, the handouts, the chapters, if you're reading the textbook, if you're using that, instead of doing that, skim over it first. Get an idea of what's there. Um, Look at the table of contents or the chapter headings or the subheadings. PowerPoint slides are really good for this kind of stuff because PowerPoint slides are not enough for learning in this class, but they're a great way to exercise that first survey, that the S part of the SQ3R. The second thing is a question. You should, after you've done that, generate questions yourself about the content. You want to convert those headings and subheadings into questions. What's this chapter about? What's this PowerPoint about? What is this trying to answer? What is these leasehold interest area trying to answer? What are these interests in real property that's less than a full fee simple trying to answer? How does this information help me? What do I need to do with respect to those kind of things? Um, Read, SQRRR, three R's, SQ3R. Then you use, with the background work done with the S and Q, then you start reading to answer those questions that you have done. You won't have the answers to the questions, or you won't, when you're creating these questions yourself, you're not going to know. But then when you read and study and to absorb and to really go into that in the detail that you should go into, then you're going to start to answer those questions. Now, think about that. The first time I'm having you read or suggesting you read is after you've already surveyed, skimmed, and created your own questions. Now you start the reading process. This is not like high school, is it? You don't read to try to memorize. You read to try to learn, to try to answer the questions that you have created. The next part is recite, and this is where you kind of step back from your notes, step back from all the material, step back from the questions, step back from the text or the whatever you have there, and try to recall or recite what you have learned. Try to identify the major points, those subheadings, the PowerPoint slides. Think about that, and you can do this orally. You can do it out loud. Again, you can do it in front of a mirror. You can do it in front of your phone and video yourself. Put that pressure on yourself to actually learn and do that. Or you can write it. Some people do better with writing it. By the way, here's the thing. I type close to 100 words a minute. I'm very, very fast. When I was in high school, I took typing one because I thought everyone should know how to type. I took typing two because I thought it would be a good place to meet girls. And turned out I just learned to be a really good typist. Having said that, typing is not the way to take notes. Your brain reacts much better when you handwrite. When you handwrite, I would encourage, and you're going to take notes. Many of us will take notes the rest of our lives. I've been practicing law for many, many years now. I still take notes. I take notes during meetings. I take notes in court. I don't go to court very often, but when I do go to court, I take notes there. I have meetings all the time. I have telephone calls all the time. I take notes, and I do it by handwriting. I actually do it on this remarkable tablet that you see on here. That's where that came from. But it's handwriting. It's my version of electronics to do it. I used to do it on an iPad with good notes in a paper feel, and then I got this, which I like much better because it's a distraction-free advice, and you just handwrite these things, and you remember them and you recall them when you write those things down. And then the third R is review. Once you've finished with the reciting and all that, you review everything that you have done. You repeat the process. You can go back to the question section, maybe even repeat questions, or even create additional questions and go through the same thing again. That's the SQ. That's the SQ3R method for studying as well. Let me see if I had any other. Uh, Oh, there's all kind of, there's the Feynman technique and Blues taxonomy and creating your own practice tests and things of that nature. And I posted. I hope you saw this, but I posted something about the use of AI in the last time that we since the last exam. And what I posted, I want you to use AI. I use AI every day. I use ChatGPT and Grok and I use Microsoft Copilot and Gemini. I use all of those. I use a Westlaw-based Connect AI that's built in with a particular legal platform, and they're very, very good. It does not in any way replace what I do. It just helps me. It it aids me in the technique of building. My building type technique is the same as what should be your learning type technique. You should be going through this material, asking the questions in that SQRRR technique. When you reach the read and recite stage, you that's perfect place for using AI. Take what you've done, feed it into AI. Hey, summarize this for me in a different way. Rewrite these sentences for me so that I can understand it even better when you do it in a different way. Create some questions, some practice questions for me so that I can learn this. Create some hypothetical fact patterns that may involve one or two or three of these particular legal issues and ask me questions in an essay form. Those are the kind of things that will help you learn the material. And I cannot stress this enough. And listen, I was talking with a colleague today and I said, I teach 80 students. 80 students. There are millions of students throughout the country. What I tell you won't matter in the grand scheme of things. All I can do is try to help the 80 students that I have. But I promise you this, those that are trying to use AI and that are using AI in this and other classes and trying to uh, do the easy way out are going to find they are creating their own obsolescence. You're going to be in a situation where, yes, you've learned how to use prompts and you've learned how to work with generative artificial intelligence. And those are good things. But you're also qualified to do that and only that, along with millions of other people for jobs that may number in the tens of thousands rather than the millions. You've created a very difficult job market for you. What will be more important is for you to learn and have the ability to exercise your brain with respect to all these other things that I'm talking about using these kind of methods. I'm not chastising you. This is view it as your fatherly warning, if you will. I'm looking out for your best interests. I really am. I'm trying to look out for your best interests. I've said before that it really does not matter to me what the grades are in this class. I know it does to you. I know it does to you. And I promise you, I'm going to not be punitive with respect to grades. Grades have a way of working out. That's the way I'm going to tell you. For those students who try and do things the right way, your grades are going to work out. They will. Trust me on that one. But I want you to learn and how to use law to protect yourself, to know what your exposure may be, and to know what your rights may be. Having said that, I don't think I had any students that appear today, and that's perfectly fine. You've got better things to do at 7 p.m. on a Monday night. I'm going to end my open office hour here with nobody here to ask any questions. I think that's right. Yeah. And with nobody here to ask any questions. And I'm going to go eat some dinner. Y'all have a good night. And please let me know if there's something I can do to help you in the class. Thanks all.